Hi guys, I'm the CGA, and in this video we're gonna find out how fast you can beat Pokemon Black and White with only Archeops. This prehistoric bird is probably one of the most polarizing Pokemon ever created. Some people swear it's incredible, while others say it's absolute garbage. Let's start with its base stats. Archeops boasts a base stat total of 567. Which is the second highest non-legendary or mythical behind Hydreigon, whose base stat total is 600. Its 140 base attack puts it at a tie for 5th in the game with Kinkeldr and Darmanitan, but its 110 base speed easily makes it faster than the other powerhouses. It even has a high tier special attack stat at 112, so why is there debate surrounding this Pokemon? Archeops is the only Pokemon to be cursed with the ability Defeatist. When its HP drops below half, its attack and special attack also get cut in half. At 70 and 56 respectively, this puts half health or lower Archeops in the same conversation as Pokemon like Cubchoo and Woobat. So all we have to do is keep it healthy and we'll be fine. Well, that's the problem here. With base defense and special defense stats of 65, Archeops is in the bottom half of all Pokemon in the Unova region defensively. This creates an interesting glass cannon situation where we'll need to rely on speed and power to make our way through this run. Thankfully, Archeops has a pretty great level up moveset. It starts with Stab, Wing Attack, and Rock Throw, but its best quality is how early it gets Acrobatics. Without a held item, this move has a base power of 110. Factor in the same type attack bonus and we're talking about a 165 base power move with Archeops' monstrous 140 attack. So I'm expecting it to blow through battles. It also gets good coverage down the line with Crunch, U-Turn, and Dragon Claw and can learn a decent amount of TMs. In this run I won't be allowing myself to use items in battle, but held items are okay. I'll also be allowing myself to catch other Pokemon for HMs, but Archeops is the only one that can be used in battle. No glitches or cheats will be used aside from my use of the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to change the starter option from Tepig to Archeops. Now let's talk about Cress. I'm actually surprised his Lillipup was able to live a wing attack, but it could be because the Archeops I got ended up having a timid nature, meaning it's minus attack plus speed. Definitely not ideal for this Pokemon. However, the gym leader only uses a workup and heals, so we take it out without getting damaged. Then his Panpour goes down to a crit wing attack, which I'm not even sure if it mattered, and that's it for the first badge. Also, I'd just like to mention this is the first speedrun I've ever done of Gen 5, so my routing and strategies aren't 100% optimal. Just wanted to put that out there. I wasn't expecting Archeops to take any damage until at least the second gym, but Sharon's Oshawott actually lives a pluck and hits us with Water Gun. We're at a high enough level at this point that we stay above half health and then we take him out with Quick Attack. Then his Purloin goes down no problem to a pluck. Next we make easy work of N and it's time for Lenora. She leads with a Herdier which has Intimidate, and even though Archeops at -1 attack is still strong, there's no way we one-shot at this level. There's a possibility of Bite getting a critical hit and activating Defeatist, which would probably result in a loss. At level 12, I decided to replace Rock Throw with Ancient Power since I thought it was important to have a special attack as a counter to a situation like this. I fire one off in hopes of getting an Omni boost, but sadly I'm not so lucky. Herdier uses Leer, which might be even worse than taking a bite, and after a second Ancient Power the dog goes down. Still no boost for me though. Watchog has Crunch, which could do big damage to Archeops. After an Ancient Power does less than half and I still don't get the boost, we at least dodge Hypnosis. Quick Attack does virtually nothing, and there's the Crunch. Actually not as much damage as I thought, which is great because it allows Archeops to finish this battle with one last Ancient Power. Had Lenora just used 2 crunches off the bat, she probably would have healed Watchog on the next turn and I wouldn't have stood a chance. After that battle, we have multiple mandatory Pinwheel Forest fights that Archeops blows through. Upon arrival at Castelia City, I immediately deal with Team Plasma so the gym opens up. I'm Berg's worst nightmare since flying and rock are both super effective against his bugs, so this one should be easy. His Whirlipede dies to a pluck straight away. Then his Dwebble comes out who survives an attack, but Smackdown only does 18 damage to me. After taking it down, Berg is only left with his ace Livani. Its 4 times weakness to flying makes it an easy kill for Archeops, who gets us our 3rd gym badge with one last pluck. We have 2 rival battles between Berg and Elesa, and while neither was that challenging, I definitely lost some time with a misclick quick attack instead of pluck against Bianca's Servine. I also went back to the Pokemon Center to heal a lot more times than necessary in this run, resulting in greater time loss. During the battle with Sharon, we learned Acrobatics, so now Archeops can start one-shotting a lot more Pokemon. Let's use our second battle with N as an example. His entire team drops to the flying type attack, so now we're free to take on Elesa. This is our first real hurdle of the run. Elisa's Emolgas are no problem since we can just take them out with ancient powers. If I can get at least one Omni boost, I should be in good shape against Zebstrika. Of course I don't, and after doing less than 50% of its health, Archeops gets taken down to the yellow with Spark. Oh, and he gets paralyzed to boot. Next turn, the Zebra takes us out, resulting in our first blackout. On top of that, I forgot to take Pansage, who I was using for Cut, out of my party, so I lost more time waiting for him to die. I decided to run Elesa back, hoping that I'd be able to get my Omni boost this time. Didn't get it against the first Emolga, nothing on the second. Our last chance is to get the boost on our opening attack against Zebstrika. Nope. Spark does 50 damage, so Defeatist activates again, and since I don't get paralyzed this time, you guys can see how little the next ancient power does. In my haste, I again forgot to take Pansage out of the party, so that's even more time loss. This is where you guys are gonna yell at me. I tried Elesa a 3rd time like an absolute moron. After the result was no different from the other 2 attempts, I finally caved and decided to grab Dig from this worker on Route 4, which Archeops can learn. The reason I didn't do this before is that I can't guarantee that I would be able to avoid all the trainers on the way to the building he's in, which I didn't, resulting in even more time loss. With the ground type move now in my arsenal, Elesa is light work. Ancient powers take out the Emolgas, and one Dig kills Zebstrika before it can even touch me. I really should have just done this from the start. Can't change the past, so let's keep moving. Another rival battle with Sharon ends quickly as Archeops uses Acrobatics to destroy his whole team. We cross the bridge to Driftveel, and while in cold storage, Archeops gets to level 35 and learns Crunch, which is great coverage for anything that might resist Acrobatics. We've naturally become pretty over-leveled for this point in the game, so nothing of significance happens between here and Clay. Let's see how the battle against the Gem Tycoon goes. I think it's no surprise that Archeops has no trouble here. I will say the one drawback of Dig is that it's a 2-turn move, which leads to further time loss. However, it's our only guaranteed way to get through Electric, Steel, and Rock types, so we have to sacrifice a little speed. Now we actually have quite the scare against Bianca. I use Ancient Power because of Hertier's Intimidate, but don't get a kill. Then it's able to land a critical hit Crunch that does decent damage. This is where I realized something very important. Even at -1 attack, Acrobatics is still stronger than our special Ancient Power. For those who don't know, when a stat is lowered by 1 stage, it gets cut to 2/3 of its hull. So even at an attack of about 94, the sheer power of Acrobatics is still more than enough to compensate. It's good that I learned this now since it's gonna help me out later on. With Hertier down, Panpour meets the same fate and Masharna comes in. This thing is known for being bulky, so I didn't expect to knock it out with 1 Crunch. However, it puts me to sleep on the next turn, and Psybeam leaves Archeops only 5 HP over half health. He fails to wake up again next turn, but I guess RNG was on my side as Bianca goes for Lucky Chant. Archeops is able to wake up and kill with a Crunch, then drops Servine with Acrobatics. I haven't done any specific EV training in this run, but I'm thankful for whatever special defense and HP EVs Archeops managed to get to this point. I'm able to avoid almost every battle on Route 6, and once in Chargestone Cave, I need to deal with a bunch of plasma grunts. Finally face to face with N, it's time to battle him with a new team. Boldor is pretty scary since it has Sturdy and the super effective Smackdown at a base attack stat of 105. If it hits and crits, we could have no way of winning here. N decides to waste his opportunity to set me back and just uses Iron Defense, so Boldor goes down next turn. His Ferroseed, Joltik, and Clink all get one-shotted as we leave the cave behind. I messed up my routing in Celestial Tower and ended up having to battle a lot more trainers than are necessary here. Once that was over with, I made a beeline straight to Skyla. Nothing in her gym was even able to touch me as Archeops steamrolled her whole team. I know she's a lot of people's favorite Unova gym leader, but right now Elesa's looking like number 1. Now I'll be honest, I've always had trouble getting through Twist Mountain. I just can't ever seem to remember which doors lead where and how to actually get out. With that said, I did a pretty good job in this run, and as I was approaching the exit, I had to fight Hiker Neil. His Woobat was no problem, but his Boldor Iron Defensed twice and was able to bring Archeops into the yellow after it lived 2 digs. It's a good thing he didn't have healing items because I would have been sent all the way back to the Mistralton Pokemon Center if I lost here. Now on to Brycen and Issaris City. You'd think this gym would be hard because Ice is super effective against Archeops. I haven't done any extra grinding in this run, but I'm still around 10 levels higher than Brycen's Pokemon, so Acrobatics easily sweeps his team. I guess it's this embarrassing loss that drove him to work at Pokestar Studios. I tried getting through Dragonspiral Tower without healing, but then ran into the 4 back-to-back battles with Plasma Grunts. Against the first grunt, I was already really low on Acrobatics PP, so I tried using other moves to conserve it. I make a big mistake here as I Ancient Power his Krokorok, who survives and is able to swagger me. Next turn, Archeops hits itself for around 50 damage, and Krokorok's Crunch puts us in defeatist territory. For good measure, we hit ourselves again and get taken out with another Crunch. I guess this blackout was about the same amount of time loss as going back to heal, but I shouldn't have been stingy with Acrobatics. I finished Dragonspiral Tower without a hitch, fly to Nimbasa City to explore Relic Castle, and ultimately get the Lightstone from Lenora back in Nacrene. With that out of the way, we can head straight for Drayden and Opelucid City. There is one more Bianca battle on the way, but we didn't even take any damage. Her Stoutland had an opportunity to attack, but only used Workup, and her Masharna actually had 2 chances, but defense curled each time. Good thing you didn't go into professional Pokemon battling, Bianca. After Drayden and Iris tell us the very long-winded story of Unova's creation, it's time for the gym battle. I used Rock Slide against Druddigon because I didn't want to take Rough Skin damage. Not really an interesting battle, just 3 clicks of the A button and we're on our way to the Elite Four. Before Victory Road, we're stopped by Sharon for our last battle with him. The only annoyance in this fight was his Unpheasant. Between Detect and Missed Rock Slides, this thing managed to put some damage on Archeops before finally getting KO'd. The rest of his Pokemon went down to Acrobatics, and I honestly should have just used the same against his lead. There are a lot of rival battles in this game between Bianca, Sharon, and N, and I know I skipped a few in this video, so if you want them all to be included for future runs, let me know. Or you can tell me if you want less included. Victory Road in this game is pretty easy to get through, and a good amount of the battles are avoidable. As a member of the Medium Fast Experience group, by the time I made it to the Pokemon League, Archeops was at level 59 without any grinding. I decided to take some time to optimize the endgame so there wouldn't be any surprises. The only Pokemon that might cause me difficulty are Marshall's Sawk, N's Caracosta, and Ghetsis' Electros. The first 2 both have Sturdy and Stone Edge, which is super effective against me with a high critical hit ratio. If they activate Defeatist and then get healed, there's no way I can win. Also, Electros resists Acrobatics and has Levitate, so it may be a roll to kill with Rock Slide, plus the move could miss. If I don't take it out with one shot, it could easily destroy Archeops with a Wild Charge. By my calculations, Archeops would need to be at level 78 to guarantee that Stone Edge does under 50%. Not wanting to use all that time to grind, here's what I did. I went through the region and collected 7 of the overworld rare candies that were easily accessible. There were a few unavoidable battles along the way, so I grinded to level 61 and then loaded my bird up with rare candies to 68. At this level, we have a decent chance of beating the game, so I decided to go for it. The first 3 members of the Elite Four all posed absolutely no challenge. Chantal's Cough of Gregus actually gets rid of Archeops' defeatist because of its ability Mummy, so even if I go under half health now, it's no problem. Jellicent's Cursed Body annoyingly disables Crunch, so we need to hope Rock Slide connects on Chandelure, which it does, and then Golurk is last, who goes down to Acrobatics. Next is Grimsley, but his Dark types also won't be much of an issue. We start with a super effective Acrobatics against Scrafty, which kills. Next up is Bisharp, who we still outspeed and are able to kill with Dig. Crocodile intimidates me, but Acrobatics is still strong enough for the one-hit KO against the Croc. Last is Lipard, and congrats Grimsley, you actually get some damage on me with Fake Out. But that's all his Leopard is good for as we take our second win with another Acrobatics. Moving on to Caitlyn and her Psychic types. I always thought it was dumb that Gen 5 had a Ghost type and Psychic type Elite Four member. One Dark type could sweep Chantal and Caitlyn without even really trying. None of Caitlyn's team members survived my non-stab crunch, and now it's time for Marshall and his Sawk. I decided to do something counterintuitive for this battle. I gave Archeops the Rocky Helmet to hold. This brings the base power of Acrobatics back to 55, but it's still strong enough to take his whole team down in one hit. The rationale here is that if by chance Sawk uses any of its moves aside from Stone Edge, it'll just die turn 1 from Rocky Helmet damage. It goes for the Rock type attack, and we get a mid-roll as Archeops barely stays above half health. Even though it's just 4 hit points above, we've now sealed Marshall's fate. It's just a matter of fighting through his heals, then Kinkeldr and Mienshao both die to one hit. With the Elite Four down, all that's left is N and Ghetsis. I forgot this game makes me catch Reshiram. Had I remembered, I would have brought a second Pokemon with me so I could switch it in for a quick death against N Zekrom. I end up just using Slash or Fusion Flare until Zekrom takes the legendary down. Now it's back to regularly scheduled programming. Archeops comes in and kills with a Rock Slide to get to level 70. An Acrobatics takes out Vanillux, and now it's the Pokemon I fear most, Caracosta. I go for a Dig and already see that N isn't hesitating to use Stone Edge. Sturdy activates, and Stone Edge lands, bringing Archeops all the way down to 45 HP. After a full restore, Dig does less than half, but maybe we can get a high roll or a crit for a kill. Well, there's Aqua Jet, so I guess we'll never know. Still, I think instead of grinding, it'll be worth my time to take one more attempt at the endgame, so let's see how round 2 goes. After beating the Elite Four, you don't need to battle them again, so I can go straight to N. A critical hit Dig takes Zekrom out in one shot, but I don't even think the crit was necessary. Vanillux again goes down to Acrobatics, and now it's once again Turtle time. This time I go for Rock Slide to possibly get a flinch, and even though that doesn't happen, I do manage to dodge Stone Edge. One more Rock Slide takes Caracosta out, and the rest of this battle will be smooth sailing. I am a little surprised that I'm able to land a third Rock Slide in a row to take Archeops down. Then it's just a Dig for Klinklang and an Acrobatics for Zoroark. Side note, super weird that N saves Zoroark for last, since that means he can't take advantage of its illusion ability. All that's left now is to deal with Ghetsis and the run will be over. There's a lot of dialogue in this game when compared to others that people do these types of runs in, so I hope you guys don't mind that I've skipped past a lot of it in this video. Acrobatics is actually a little stronger than Crunch, but because of our timid nature, it only has a 12.5% chance of killing Cough of Gregus. We don't get the kill, but just like against Chantal, we now have Mummy, so there's no need to worry about defeatist. Ghetsis always uses this Pokemon for a Toxic stall, and while he did protect turn 1, he misses Toxic here. After a heal, it just takes 2 crunches to kill his first Pokemon, and we see Bisharp come out. Similar to Grimsley's, all it takes is a dig to knock it out as we avoid Stone Edge between turns. His Seismitoad, Hydreigon, and Bouffalant all die to Acrobatics, so now it's the moment of truth. Will Rock Slide kill Electros? It survives with a sliver of health, and as the anxiety starts to set in, I see that we get a flinch. We connect our next one, finishing off Ghetsis and this run. I think it's safe to say that Archeops is an absolutely incredible Pokemon. The only losses during this run before the Elite Four were due to my own mistakes and not the Pokemon's inabilities. Granted, we did get lucky staying over half health after Sawk's Stone Edge, Caracosta missing his Stone Edge, and Electros flinching, but that's Pokemon. There'll always be RNG involved. All that aside, let's see what the final time was. 9 hours and 54 minutes of in-game time. I played at 4 times speed, so in real time, this was under 2.5 hours. Also, like I mentioned before, my routing wasn't great and I lost some time from unnecessary battles and exploration, so honestly, I think this time could have been around 8 hours. But now the question is, how good is this time really? In order to figure that out, we'll need to start doing runs with more Pokemon to compare to Archeops. Let me know which Pokemon from the Unova region you'd like to see take on this challenge next. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel for future runs. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.